Tim Bradley has got to be the most butthurt individual in all of boxing over something Gervonta Davis said about him that he is clearly letting affect his judgment as he comes out once again with one of the most hating comments that I have heard from a boxing commentator in a while. And then he backs it up with even more. Let's talk about what Tim Bradley had to say about Gervonta Davis and the fight with Vasily Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, I think the most universally disliked commentator in the history of boxing sports commentators, right after Jim Lampley right after probably Larry Merchant, is Tim the Desert Storm Bradley. Not because he does not know boxing very well inside the ring, because he does. Not that he was not a terrific fighter. I would never deny that he is. Multi-time world champion, Hall of Fame fighter. I watched all his fights, enjoyed all his fights, rooted for him in every single solitary one of his fights, with the exception of his fight with Devin Alexander. But his win over Devin Alexander for me was the one where I was like, okay, yeah, this guy's real. But terrific fighter in the ring. As a commentator, is probably lets his personal feelings show about fighters that he does not like more than any other commentator does. And his disdain for Gervonta Davis is evident in something that he said before he fought Frank Martin and some things he said after Gervonta Davis fought Frank Martin. Now, before I get into the details, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching the channel. Thank you to everybody, man. I'm glad everything's good for you now. Daryl McKinney. Shout out to my guy, Ashton Denton. Blessings to you. Also, shout out to everybody that supports in the super thanks. Thank you, guys. So Tim Bradley's predicting that Gervonta Davis will lose to both Shakur Stevenson and Vasily Lomachenko. Both of them. Now, I don't have a problem if somebody says, who do you think will win a fight, Gervonta or Vasily? And you say, I don't know, man. I think I got Vasily. And I don't know who's going to win the fight. I think I got Shakur. I don't know, but it'll be good fights, right? I don't have a problem with the thought. It's the fact that you know what he's going to say before he says it because of who it is he's talking about. Before the fight with Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin, Tim Bradley was talking about the fight with Frank Martin, and he said, I just want to see Gervonta Davis get decked. That's what I really, really want to see. This was that man's analysis of this fight. I just want to see him get decked. I want to see him get dropped, because if he can get dropped and get back up, then that's going to show me that he has real dog in him. No, it would not. It would show to Tim Bradley that he's susceptible to whatever punch dropped him. What it would do for Tim Bradley is give Tim Bradley even more ammunition to say that Gervonta Davis is not a good fighter, that he doesn't fight anybody. And see, when he fought Frank Martin, he got dropped because that was the first halfway decent competition he ever had in his life. If Tim Bradley had ever been subject to, over a period of time, to the criticism that Gervonta Davis has gotten, I never heard it. Never. And I'm telling you, this is a guy that got into the Hall of Fame by getting beat up by Ruslan Provodnikov. Now, no joke, I like Tim Bradley as a fighter, but Tim Bradley will be the first person out there, if you criticize what he says and says, hey, man, I think you're full of it, for him to say, yeah, but what have you done that I've done? You know, you can say what you want. You ain't got these rings like I got these rings. He would immediately start talking about all the accolades and the things that he's accomplished, and rightfully so, when somebody has something to say about him giving his opinion. But he uses his opinion in a way as if he won't give that same respect to anybody else that's in the ring. Because Gervonta Davis has most definitely fought people before. Gervonta Davis, there's no way in the world that Tim Bradley would say that about any fighter that he liked. There's no chance. I can't wait to hear Tim Bradley say something, let's say about Shakur Stevenson, like, because he's a top ranked fighter. Yeah, I can. Look, you know what? I'm going to really know about Shakur Stevenson when Shakur Stevenson gets beat up and dropped. That's what I really want to see for Shakur Stevenson. What I really want to see for Terrence Crawford is I really want somebody to really hurt him badly in a fight, and he goes down and on the ground, then he gets up, then I'll know Terrence has got real dog in him. To my knowledge, Terrence Crawford has never been dropped in his career, and I've never heard Tim Bradley doubt that he's got dog in him. When you see the fight with Leo Santa Cruz and Gervonta Davis, what do you call that? When you see Gervonta Davis in a ring with Mario Barrios, and Mario Barrios is that much bigger than him, and people are saying, hey, man, Gervonta Davis is down on cards, and Gervonta Davis comes back on the cards and stops these guys, that's not dog? What do you think people are doing? Just sticking their chin out and taking punches? Like, I don't have a problem with Tim Bradley thinking that anybody will beat another fighter. He's an expert in that particular area. But man, it is so clear. It is so clear that you are being completely biased against Gervonta Davis and certain other fighters with the PBC and holding them to standards that you do not hold. He does not hold top-ranked fighters to, or fighters that he's close to. No chance. I don't remember anybody saying, oh yeah, we can't wait for Vasily Lomachenko to get dropped in a fight. Yeah, oh yeah, when he got up against Linares, and I didn't really know about Vasily Lomachenko until he got dropped. I don't even know anybody ever mentioning the fact that Gary Russell Jr. dropped him during his first championship fight. Nobody brought that up. When Lomachenko was fighting guys, I didn't hear anybody on HBO. I don't know if Tim Bradley was at ESPN at the time or not. I don't think he was. But when Vasily Lomachenko fought at 130 pounds and he fought Jason Sosa, who is a journeyman, Miguel Mariaga, who is like a former 126 pounder coming off a loss, I do believe, and had no chance to beat him. And then he fought blown up 118 pounder and Guillermo Rigondeaux. I don't remember anybody saying, yeah, I don't really know, man. He ain't fighting anybody. They were looking at Lomachenko and how amazing he was. But Gervonta Davis can do the same thing, knocking people out, almost everybody that he fights. The people that he fights can move on and become world champions. Hector Garcia was a world champion when he beat him, but Isaac Cruz is a world champion now at 100 at the weight class above. Mario Barrios is a world champion at 147 pounds. Jose Pedraza became a world champion at 135, and he's a perfectly legitimate competition for Gervonta Davis to fight for Lomachenko, but he's not good competition for Gervonta to have fought. You're not sure about him yet, and you just want to see him dropped. And then after that, because you couldn't say you thought he was going to lose the fight, because come on, then the next two you back-to-back pick multiple guys to beat him. Man, Tim Bradley's not as good a fighter as Gervonta Davis. He's not as big a draw in his life that Gervonta Davis has been. Let me repeat that. He's not as good a fighter as Gervonta Davis. He's not as good a big a draw as Gervonta Davis. And Gervonta Davis is on the other team. So he talks about the fighters on the other team like that, and completely unfair to the kid. Give the kid his credit, man, and stop hating on the dude so blatantly. To say, now again, I don't have a problem if you think Lomachenko can beat him. I don't have a problem if anybody thinks that Shakur can beat him. Those are really, really good fights. You could say, okay, I got both those guys beating them. But if you bookend that, if that's the end to what you said before, which is you just want to see him dropped, which makes me suspect you just want to see him lose, that your predictions of people beating him are wishful thinking. And it is just a way to pour more water on the kid and decrease what this man's perception is in the media, when he's clearly one of the best fighters in boxing, and clearly a better fighter than Tim Bradley was, and most definitely on his way to the Hall of Fame. Because Tim Bradley, as good as Tim Bradley is, Tim Bradley has never been as talented as Gervonta Davis is. He's a very good fighter. Can fight on the inside, can fight on the outside, but he can't bust a grape with a punch, by his own admission. He is a better, more talented version of Paulie Malignaggi, period. And I still don't even get why the man acted like he was ashamed for having beat Manny Pacquiao. Anyway, I just heard that and wanted to talk about that because I'm cool. Like, again, I understand perfectly well that Vasily Lomachenko has a chance to beat Gervonta. I know that because Vasily Lomachenko is a great fighter. Shakur Stevenson, great fighter too, definitely has an opportunity to beat Gervonta. Gervonta has a chance to spark both of those dudes out unconscious though, but to just wish that I just want to see him dropped. There ain't no way in the world you would want to see Terrence Crawford dropped, or you wanted to see Tyson Fury drop, or want to see any of these other guys get dropped so you can see how they react, so you can make up your decision about whether or not you think there's dog in them or not. The dog in Gervonta Davis is crystal clear by the way that he walks those dudes down. He will take shots to give shots. He'll fight on the outside. Man, it is terrible, man. Just terribly biased. Anyway, man, I had to get that off my chest on this Sunday morning. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out.